What would you say is the scariest tool on a nail tech's desk? I'm guessing you would say the e-file, but today I want to build your confidence with an e-file because nail students, enthusiasts, DIYers, the more you understand how to use an e-file and what it's used for, what its different components are, the better manicure you will be able to produce. All right, let's debunk the scariness. If you've ever taken a class with me, you will know that words provoke feelings. And that is why we do not call this machine a drill. A drill sounds scary. It sounds industrial. We're gonna use an e-file. So let's just use that language, okay? I know we interchangeably use the word drill, but for this video, let's build that confidence and call it an e-file. Look, right there, it doesn't sound as scary. So when do we use an e-file? We use an e-file first to remove product quickly and efficiently. We use an e-file to do prep. Prep is key to make sure the product stays on. We do cuticle work. Love me a dry manicure. And we also use an e-file for shaping products. There's so much value in why use an e-file, and not just to use it, but to use it well. Let me go ahead and show you the parts to your e-file that you're gonna want to know and become familiar with, okay? So I'm working with the Medical 35K. This right here, this unit, the little box, is your controller. This is the handpiece, the most expensive part of your e-file because this is where your motor is. You got your bearings and your chuck. This little guy comes with your e-file. It is not a bit, it is just kind of a little shipping pin. If you ever find that your machine is vibrating, put that pin back in to see is it the e-file or do you have a bent bit. This is your handpiece cord that goes into your controller. And then to turn on the machine, you just turn it to the right. Set that little dial for whatever speed range you want. The RPMs indicates how many times that bad boy, AKA your bit, is spinning around the tool. To turn it off, you just turn it all the way to the left. You're gonna find that most e-files have a forward and reverse switch. This is really important. If you're a righty, you are gonna run your e-file in the forward direction. And if you are a lefty, you're going to run your machine in the reverse direction. If you also follow my dry manicure techniques, you're also gonna see that we utilize forward and reverse, and I'll link some of the videos below that talks about why we do that for the results that we wanna get. But one of the important things that I want to point out about this e-file is that there's a neutral, right? So time is money. If I am moving between forward and reverse, what I don't need to do is turn my e-file all the way off. That's normally how I would switch out a bit. When I have my e-file on and I want to switch into a different direction, just put it in neutral. So neutral is right in between. You can actually like feel it. So I go forward, little click, neutral, another click, reverse. That's gonna slow your machine down way quicker so that you can continue on with switching out your tool. Just like that. Green light means we're fully charged. When you put it in the charger, it'll turn red. When you see it's green, that means you got a full charge and get back to work. All right, now that I've opened up my e-file, you're going to see that when the e-file is locked, these two little arrows are gonna come together. When I want to unlock it, I'm just gonna take my two fingers and I'm lefty-loosey, just like that. You hear that little click? Make sure that you're just grabbing this center part where the arrow is. If not, if you start twisting any other of these components, you're gonna start to realize that it comes apart. Don't do this, okay? Just in the center. So again, arrows are lined up, that means it's locked. We're gonna twist until we feel that click. All right, there might be a little bit of resistance, keep going. Now that I've opened up my machine, I'm gonna go ahead and insert my bit. So here I am using a diamond bit. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and load my bit. This is something you don't wanna do. You don't wanna put your bit so far in that it's actually touching the nose piece, okay? This is the little nose piece. You wanna have your bit out some so that you can actually work around the nail. When we're filing the nail, what happens is we lose maneuverability. Also, if there's the two metals are touching, it's gonna create heat because of the friction. This is a no-no. What we wanna do is when we put our bits in, we wanna make sure they're out a little bit, just like that. That would be a perfect position to continue to file. Now, if you're doing longer nails, you might find that you want the bit to be out a little farther, especially during removal. That way, as you're filing and working down the nail, you have more control over the tool, all right? Longer nails, we don't wanna be hitting the nail ever on the front of our handpiece, okay? So just like we don't wanna have the tip all the way in, we also don't wanna have our bits all the way out like this. And the reason for that is vibration. All right, the larger the tool, the more vibration there's gonna be. As well as the farther out, the less control you have. The more that the shank of the bit is inside the handpiece, the more control you're going to have of your bit. So now that's a quick rundown on your e-file. Now there's sometimes that you'll get an error message. Why would you get an error message? There's two big things that will cause an error message. One is getting this caught in your shirt, your hair, or a paper towel. It just gets all wrapped up and it realizes this is not right and you're gonna see an error indicator. During filing, if you get an error message where your e-file just all of a sudden like kind of has an E or it just stops working, best case scenario is make sure that your bit is actually tightened and inside your e-file. The second is just to turn it all the way off, turn it back on, and most likely you'll be ready to rock and roll. Now, a few other tips is when you store your handpiece, always make sure there's a bit inside. That way, dust doesn't get in. Also, if you find that it's getting really hot, that means you're not properly locking in your bits. So make sure you see those two arrows so you know you're good and locked in. If your bits start to hang out here, no matter how far you push them in, it is time for your e-file to get a service. What's gonna happen eventually is that those little chuck dogs that are biting down on the bit, they're covered in dirt, dust, all the things in a nail salon, so it's no longer able to hold the bit. We wanna make sure the bits are held. If not, they go flying out, it spooks you and your client. Make sure you get your handpiece clean. That's just part of its maintenance to keeping it happy. One of the last things I wanna show you guys is that with the medical machine, I'm not a big fan of this, and I wanna show you why. When you put your e-file inside, if your bit's too far out, go ahead and take a picture of that, is that your bit can actually be taking all the pressure from your handpiece, okay? So make sure you angle it in a position where you never have to worry about your handpiece bit actually taking the force, all right? This little thing has a screw, so none of this, all right? We don't want any extra weight on that tip. If you're using the medical holder, just make sure when you're adjusting this screw is that you have it parallel to your e-file and not up. I personally don't like this. I recommend using a cradle. And the number one reason for that is efficiency. So if I'm working on my client and I'm like, ooh, I need my nylon brush, the last thing I wanna do is turn off my e-file, put it in its little holder, grab my alcohol, right? Because that's not efficient. What I wanna do when I'm working is, oh, I need my alcohol, put my e-file down, grab my alcohol. I didn't turn it off. I'm just now gonna pick it back up and continue to work. I love using the handpiece stand, and it's also protecting the most expensive part of my e-file. Having your e-file handpiece roll around on your desk just means that it's gonna get dusty, you're gonna get product on it, and the last thing that you want is for your expensive piece of professional equipment to look like. That is the basics of using an e-file, you guys. Keep going. Keep building your confidence with an e-file. The more you practice, the better you will become. Make sure you got quality tools, you know the language. Now, start filing. You're going to produce a longer lasting, higher look manicure the more you work with an e-file. If you want to see more content where I am passionately telling you that education is elevation, go ahead, like and subscribe.